Will Manny Pacquiao still have one great fight in him, or will Keith Thurman rise to the expectation? Find out in the Spartan Boxing Break. Welcome back to the Spartan Boxing Break. This is Dave, Joey, and Corling. We're going to be talking today about the super fight between Manny Pacquiao and Keith one-time Thurman. Say hi, guys.
Hey now! A super fight that's been overdue.
Yeah, it's been maybe, if it weren't because of Keith Thurman's injuries, it probably should have happened maybe a year ago. But now it's happening. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, he's had a belt for a while. It probably could have happened even more than a year ago.
He's had a belt for quite a while. He's been holding on to that belt for like over 2 years. Holding
it ransom. I used to really like Keith. I've been down on him for a while, and I didn't like the way he looked in the last fight. But I know me and Corling are usually in agreement. I don't know why, but we're not going to be, and this could be really fun. So I'll let Corling go first.
Yeah, Corling, let's see. What do you think about this fight? Because it's a fight that many people are saying is going to elevate Keith Thurman into a position where he's going to become the elite A-side fighter if he is able to beat the legend Manny Pacquiao.
I think that it will. I think that it's going to be quite easy. This is a bad matchup for Pac-Man.
I'm glad you're doing it.
I do not want to see this dude go out like this. And this has all of the makings of one of those one-sided, for lack of a better term, ass whoopings that I'm going to remember forever. I don't like to see legends go out like this. I don't know why Pac is still fighting. I don't know why he wants to fight Keith Thurman. I mean, I understand the Keith Thurman thing. He everybody thinks that Keith Thurman is kind of, he's sweet. He's the easy work. He's looked vulnerable before, but this is going to be a bad matchup. Don't do it, Pac.
Why do you say it's a bad matchup? What makes it a bad matchup?
The thing is that Keith has length. He has height.
He has youth.
He has youth. He has power. He has the ring IQ. That's what I think is underrated with Keith. Even if you hear him break down fights, he does it flawlessly. I remember seeing, this is way back. I think this is before when it was the buildup of he and Sean Porter about to fight. I remember seeing him. He was jumping rope and breaking down fights, like literally watching film while he was jumping rope. This dude, he's a boxing encyclopedia. He knows the way around the ring. He knows the ins and outs. I don't think that Pac does as much. I think he gets by more so on athleticism. He has, I think, just as good of an athlete in front of him. This isn't going to be good, man. It's not going to be good. I know y'all disagree.
Well,
that's what we're here for.
What does Keith do that Manny's not going to be able to handle?
The distance. Manny needs to be in range. If not, Manny becomes very, very low volume. You see, he was low volume against, let's say, like Floyd Mayweather, who really is the master of distance. He used distance masterfully. The jab, Pat couldn't get where he wanted to get. He had to wait until Floyd went up against the ropes, and then he was able to unleash flurries that still weren't able to land, but it doesn't even matter.
In Pac's defense in that fight, Floyd was also substantially lower in volume than his normal fights. He didn't land nearly as much. His connect rate was probably the lowest it had been in any fight that I can remember. Right. But as far as the height, yeah, Keith has about 2 inches on him. As far as the reach, he also has about 2 inches on him. He does move, and he boxes very, very well, and he can punch hard. But I have concerns about his mobility. I'm going to talk about this, and I've talked about this in the last episode. Why is he riding bicycle instead of jogging? Why is he wearing knee braces? Why is this happening? Why is he bringing all these other things into the mix for conditioning? Because I think that he has mobility issues, and I think it might show in the fight.
We did touch on that about him making major changes in the camp when you're approaching a really probably the best opponent he's probably faced. Don't tell me Sean Porter. Please stop. I'm just going to stop you before you even say Sean Porter. This is going to be the best opponent that that Thurman's ever faced.
Ever.
And to make, add your aunt as a conditioning coach. He added some former NFL player, and his whole it's intertwined into his whole camp. I've heard the bike thing. I saw interviews from Ellie Seckbach in Robert Garcia's gym, and they spoke about it. He says the only way that he'd be doing that is if he had the same issues that Sergio Martinez had, who had a lot of knee problems, who wore compression wrap in the fight against Cotto. He retired after that fight. I'm not saying he's going to retire, but if he has those same issues, I don't think he'll be as mobile. I don't think he's going to style on anybody like certain people think. So this is all stuff we kind of talked about before. But go ahead, Dave. I'll let you finish.
Well, not only that, but you have, also guys like, if you remember Yuri Foreman, he also had knee issues. He also wasn't doing road work, and it ended up showing in the fight with Miguel Cotto. I mean,
it's funny, all these guys
knee
that
went
happens
out.
against Cotto.
His knee went out. So
his knee gave out.
Yes. So it's with the way Manny fights, and if he starts tagging Keith and starts working in and out, and like he usually does, and can stay active punching, Keith is going to have to move. If he can't move, he's not going to be able to get out of the way. And if something happens to his knee or his knees or whatever, it may be a very, very bad night for Keith. Having said that, looking at the boxing odds right now that Manny Pacquiao has been raised up to the favorite, he's now minus 140, so bet 140 to make 100. And Keith is down to plus 110, bet 100 to make 110. I still think Keith is not a bad bet in this fight because he has the youth, he has the length, he has power, although he has not shown power in his last few fights since he's moved up in competition. And this is going to be the highest level competition he's ever going to have at this point, other than a Mayweather or a Spence or Crawford. I don't see anybody else with the skill level of Pacquiao other than those guys at this point in time. So, and then we have to look at their last fights. Manny Pacquiao's last fight was against Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner, what can you say about him? He's a guy that talks a lot, shows up, and doesn't do what he says he's going to do, and he doesn't really train and doesn't live up to the expectations, but he's still not a bad fighter. And then you have Keith Thurman winning a majority decision versus Josecito Lopez in a fight that looked very bad. Manny Pacquiao looked much better than Keith Thurman in their last fights.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Can we kind of delve into that?
Yes.
I thought, okay, Pacquiao clearly won against Adrian Broner.
Clearly.
But think about a Pacquiao from, this is the thing about these great opponents. You have a lot of fights to conjure upon. Think about Pacquiao in 2010. 2011, the Pacquiao that fought Shane Mosley, the Pacquiao that fought Margarito. Broner wouldn't have seen that final bell. He wouldn't have made it. Comparatively to that, I thought Pacquiao, he didn't look too good.
Yeah, but I don't think that Thurman would have stopped Broner either. In the last fight.
You know what?
No,
but
he wouldn't have.
I would say
he didn't stop Josecito.
Sean Porter couldn't stop him.
But you know what? Let's talk about that Josecito fight with Keith Thurman. Keith look, I'm looking at things like his movement. He moved well.
I thought he looked good,
his
for a
punch
few rounds.
variety.
And then what happened? Everybody, and I mean everybody, counted Josecito out.
Oh yeah.
Before the fight. Yeah. And the way the fight was going, probably the first 5 rounds, you were like, okay, I guess we were all right.
Right.
And Josecito showed something that he showed in the fight against Victor Ortiz years ago, back in 2012 or whatever it was.
Yep.
He showed that he's not a quitter. He is a tough kid. You can hurt him, but he'll get up. Blah blah blah. And next thing you know, he's beating the shit out of Keith Thurman.
He was also bigger. He was bigger than Keith Thurman. He was also better schooled. Look, he switched this training camp. I think he was with Robert Garcia. You know Robert Garcia.
So he's better schooled than Pacquiao then?
No. I was saying that he was better schooled compared to what he was before. I know he hasn't been with Robert Garcia his whole career.
No.
So he was there for this fight, and it showed. He did some good things in there. He did some great things in there. He almost took that belt from Keith. But you know what though? I've seen Keith against Sean Porter. I've seen Keith in trouble against who is it, Louis Collazo. Seen Keith in trouble against Josecito Lopez. I know it was, Diego Chavez actually gave him a tough fight too. Keith ain't no punk. And Keith has a lot of real good survival skills. It's hard to finish him if you notice that.
Yes.
You can't just go and knock him out. You're not just going to steamroll right through him. He has some grit. He can bite down on his mouth.
Who was a good fighter that hurt him?
Sean Porter hurt him, I believe.
You believe? But I don't think so.
I think he did.
Sean
was roughing him up all on those ropes. He hurt him in the body.
He wasn't hurt. He was hurt more in the Josecito fight than he was in that. He was hurt more in the Collazo fight than he was hurt against Sean Porter.
Right. Okay.
It was visibly noticeable that he was hurt. He could have been, that he could come out interview after the fight. Wow, Sean was really rough in there. It was hard. It was tough. This bothered. He didn't. You saw him get hurt against Josecito. You know what I mean? This is. I'm gonna put it down right now. This is because Keith Thurman. And I think David touched on this the last podcast when we kind of kicked this around a little. Yep. After the Collazo fight, when he got hurt in that fight to the body, he kind of changed as a boxer. He stays away. He plays that distance game. And you know what? You're right. He's got height, he's got length, and he can use that, and he can win that way. I'm not saying Keith Thurman can't win this fight. I think, the odds are close because it is what it is.
Right.
The problem is he did get hurt by Collazo, who is also a southpaw like Pacquiao. Right. And Pacquiao, it's sneaky. He does go to the body. I don't know if he's going to hurt Keith to the body. I don't think I've ever really seen Manny hurt somebody to the body. But that's number one. So being southpaw, Manny his motor never stops. And the only time I ever thought that I saw his motor stop was in the Jeff Horn fight. When he fought Horn, and he had him almost knocked out in the 9th round. The 10th round, Pacquiao came out in the 10th round. He looked dead tired. I've never seen him like that before. But that entire fight, Jeff Horn roughed him up. Manny was bleeding from both eyes. Keith Thurman does not do that. And I think in order to beat Manny, still, with the motor he has now at 40 years old, the way he was able to, basically run circles around Broner, believe it or not. If you watch the fight again, he is in attack mode. And I know Broner gives you all the opportunity in the world because he doesn't throw anything back. Yeah. But he also, Matisse sucks, and he beat the shit out of him too.
Right.
But he was in attack mode his last 2 fights.
And look,
Thurman is going to have his share of offense. But he's not going to get inside and rough things up. And that's how you get to Manny. That's how Manny got tired in the Horn fight. You never see Manny get tired. You never see him get tired before that or since then.
You know what? Let me go ahead and disagree. Again, how do you, number one, the way the blueprint on Keith and how to beat him is not to box him. It's not to try and outbox him. It's to rough him up. Manny isn't a physical fighter. He's a fighter that has a lot of.
There is no blueprint to beat Thurman. He hasn't lost yet.
Well, what I'm saying though, the blueprint to even get to him is to rough him up. That's why a lot of people are picking Errol Spence. That's why I picked Sean Porter, and I would pick him in the rematch to beat Keith Thurman.
And you would be wrong twice.
Listen,
you know what?
Listen,
but because of a rugged style. Hold on, real quick, Dash.
Go ahead.
But you know what? And another thing, just a little side note. I've seen Pacquiao hurt Margarito to the body. That was a vicious body shot. Margarito.
Okay, all right. So there you go.
Well,
right? But even still, though, Pacquiao isn't a fighter that's going to get you against the ropes and club you and mug you and maul you and all that. That's not going to happen. Not with Pac. Pac is athletic. He likes to dart in and out around you and all that. And Keith has just as good.
He doesn't batter people up against the ropes.
Let me say something.
He didn't batter De La Hoya up against the ropes. He didn't batter fucking Tim Bradley up against the ropes.
But it's a different battering. You know what I mean?
Let me say something.
Type of battering, and then there's Manny Pacquiao.
Let me say something.
Yep.
Manny Pacquiao does not rough people up like, say, a Jeff Horn roughs people up,
right.
But his punches have sting in them, and they do break down his opponent's face and body with the volume of punches that he lands, and because they're hard shots. And here's what concerns me about Thurman. Thurman, when he starts getting hurt, he does get very defensive and stops throwing and starts moving around and trying to survive. He's done it. He did it against Diego Chavez until he was able to gather himself back up again and knock Chavez out.
Right.
He did it against Luis Collazo when he got hurt to the body. I mean, he didn't throw a punch for another round and a half, practically, until he was able to gather himself again. So if that happens and he gets gun shy because Pacquiao is landing shots on him, it's not going to matter because, with the volume punching that Pacquiao does, if he is able to reach him, he's going to lose the rounds, even if Pacquiao doesn't knock him out or stops him. And another thing that we have to keep in mind, and that I view, I don't think that Keith Thurman has really stopped anybody since 2014. Yeah, now they stopped the Collazo fight, but I was there at that fight. It was here in Tampa, and it was a gift stoppage. I mean, he was hitting him, but Collazo could have continued easily, and they just kind of stopped the fight. So we're talking about 5 years since Keith Thurman has stopped anybody. So I don't think he's going to stop Manny Pacquiao in this fight.
I mean, how long have you heard that when Pacquiao hadn't stopped somebody in a long time and then he knocks out Matisse?
Right.
It was, it's Matisse.
And
It was
then
zero credit. And look, Thurman has done the same thing. He's gone 5 fucking years without knocking anybody out.
And this is Pacquiao's third or fourth fight in the last 2 years, and it's only Keith's second fight. Now I don't put a lot of weight into the last fight. He did look bad, but a fighter has to get the ring rust off.
He didn't look bad. He looked good for the first.
And they may look and they may come back and look great for the next fight because they got that ring rust off. Right. So if you take for example Tyson Fury looked terrible in his first 2 fights coming back, and then was basically, I know you don't want to hear this, Corling, but he was schooling Wilder in the ring, except for the 2 knockdowns.
Corling only recognized that the night of the fight, and then after that, no, it was a draw. It was a draw. Let's not jump off and talk about heavyweights.
You get what you can get. So,
but the point is that if I really saw a diminished Pacquiao, he's not the 2009, 2010 Pacquiao. He's not that. But still, at the percentage that he's at right now, I still think he's good enough to pull off a victory in this fight.
And I'm not surprised that he's the favorite. And look, Keith Thurman is not what Keith Thurman used to be, and that's why a lot of people are down on him. And then the 2 years off, and then coming back in your first fight, and you had it was spotty. He looked good. That he looked really bad, where he looked like he was hurt, and then he did enough at the end of the fight. He showed some will, and he showed the mettle of a champion.
He does have heart. I mean, you have to give him that.
He showed that, and
he survives. He knows how to survive.
It just concerns me that he's not what he was. He was hurt in his last fight, and then he's done so much to change his camp to go into a new fight with everything brand new.
That's concerning.
I don't know if that works. And then the whole thing with the road work. Boxers need road work, plain and simple.
I agree.
Yeah,
And if Pacquiao starts tagging him and he starts moving around the ring and gasses out or his knees give out or something happens, then we'll have an answer on that. I mean, we're just guessing at this. I really don't know if he really does have knee issues or joint issues or whatever, but it just seems odd that all these things are popping up about it. And, again, like I said in the last podcast, where there's smoke, there could be fire. And it may be the fire that burns Keith down in this fight. And here's another thing that I was mentioning before, and Joey was asking me, what do I mean? I don't think that they were saving Manny Pacquiao for Keith Thurman. I don't think that they were saving Manny Pacquiao to raise Keith Thurman's stock into an elite fighter. I know what you mean. I think that they're really saving Pacquiao to put Errol Spence up there to have Errol Spence be the one that takes
So-
Pacquiao out.
So with that, then you're saying they're expecting,
And I think that's
Pacquiao to win.
because Keith Thurman said something that he didn't even expect to get the Pacquiao fight. So there must be something there why they must have given him the fight so suddenly instead of having him fight Spence.
Big mistake. If they're using Pacquiao to boost Errol Spence, big mistake.
Well, that's fine. But my point is that I think that they're not using Pacquiao to boost Keith Thurman in this fight. I think
what I'm saying, the reason why I'm saying big mistake is if you go back to interviews from like 2014, Keith has been calling these guys out. He was calling out Mayweather and Pacquiao.
Sure.
He's been calling them out.
And he's not Keith Thurman from 2014 anymore.
But at the same time, though, this is something that can't be quantified. But I think that everybody is discounting the hunger that this guy has for this fight.
I certainly am.
I was looking today, and Keith's always been, about that big talk. Of course, he does what he does in the ring. But, Keith talks a lot. But I have never, ever seen him talk this much about an opponent. It's almost bordering disrespect. Think about it. Pac's a legend, and this dude seems super relaxed. Everything he's saying, he's just firing off at Pac, letting him have it.
Well, that could be taken in two different ways. I mean, that could be taken in where he's trying to get under Pacquiao's skin, and he's sounding off left and right.
Everyone should know that getting under Pac's skin, that's not going to work.
Right. Or he's trying to boost up his confidence because maybe there are some issues.
I think he is that hungry to where he's like, you know what? I'm just about to let him hang now.
I think he's doing all this talking because he eventually hopes to believe what the fuck he's saying. Because I don't think he believes it.
This is horrible, man. It's not going to be good. This isn't going to be good.
So all right, this isn't going to be good. Let's have your pick.
Just looking at how I understand everything that y'all are saying. You can't discount.
Do me a favor. If you pick a decision, give me a score. Give me 116, 112. Give me a score.
I ain't even gonna do that. I'm gonna
need you to do that.
No. What I'm saying is I'm not gonna do that in terms of I think that Keith is, you know what? I'll go ahead and go decision. Now, the one thing that Keith needs to do, he needs to keep his foot on the gas. Because I think y'all said, and we kind of touched upon this on the last podcast, you were saying that, Manny could get robbed in this fight. And I beg to differ. If Keith goes up there trying to win 7 rounds, trying to, win an 8-4 decision, it's not going to happen the way he needs it to. So Keith needs to keep his foot on the gas. Actually,
do you think Thurman will get robbed?
No.
I think it could happen.
That's what I was saying. I was saying that Thurman can get robbed, so he needs to leave it as no doubt. If he goes in there, say he technically does win 8 rounds, you're looking at a draw right there. Just off the cachet of Manny right there. So look, Manny is a walking gold mine, a straight up ATM, man. He is literally bigger and better things. He's what every fighter is trying to achieve.
He's at the end of the rope, though.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, since he's at the end of that road, compared with Keith's hunger and his youth and the set of skills that Keith possesses, because I don't want it to be, Manny was old. Yeah, that has something to do with it, but Keith's skill has a lot to do with it also. I would not be surprised if you saw 10th, 11th round knockout from Keith Thurman.
Sometimes we have an idea of a fighter.
So are you picking knockout or are you picking
you know what? I'll go out on a limb and then I'll pick Keith by stoppage.
10th or I'll give you that 10 and a half. We'll go 10 and a half.
Rounds. Yeah, over 10 and a half. I'll go by the stoppage.
Listen.
Okay.
Sometimes we have a mental image of what a fighter is or should be or was, and it may not be the same of what they are at this moment. So this may apply not just to Manny Pacquiao, but it may also apply to Keith Thurman. And we might get a surprise either way from this fight. So my pick is going to be Manny on points because I don't think that Keith is the end game for Spence. I think Manny is the end game for Spence, and they're going to assure that Manny gets to Spence.
I agree with that, but I'm going to go a different route.
Hmm.
I'm gonna say Keith wins via robbery, and I'll tell you why. The ceiling, the room to grow with a Thurman and a Spence, you got a lot more room there than you have with Pacquiao. So let's say Pacquiao shows up, does great. Probably in most people's eyes, they think he's won. Thurman can go fight some fucking mandatory, and they could still feed Manny to Spence. And now he's fought both and built both of them up, so that makes their fight somewhere down the road a lot bigger. Everyone's going to know Thurman because he fought Pacquiao and won, and it was controversial. Everyone's going to know Spence because he fought Pacquiao and probably beats the crap out of him. So now you've just built them both on the name of Pacquiao. And Manny walks away. He makes a couple more $1 million, and that's that. And eventually these two fight. But I think a lot of people are going to walk away thinking Manny got robbed again. They did it to him against Bradley. They did it to him against Horn. Don't be surprised if they rob him again.
I think he's
But
been.
for you, Quilling, for you, I will bet you straight up. I'll take Manny.
He's been through it too many times that I don't think he would have gone to PBC and Al Heyman if he thought he was going to get robbed again. I think that's not going to be the case. And
Manny's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Let's be honest.
Why is he even over there? I mean, if you think about that, that's weird.
Because
that's
you know what? I think he realized that maybe he had to cross the street, and I think who was the fucking guy that they were talking about Crawford ready to fight soon? Maybe September, October.
Kavaliauskas or.
Well, I can't pronounce that name.
Aegis Kavaliauskas.
What the fuck does that do for Terrence Crawford?
It doesn't do much. It really doesn't.
Right. And the problem with him crossing the street is that he signed this contract with Top Rank, and he signed a contract with ESPN. He technically he can't cross the street, even though it's probably what he should do.
Let's not get too sidetracked, Joey.
Right.
I'm just saying, like Manny realized I might have to do this because that's where all the welters are, where Crawford, took money.
Well, it's a financial decision, and that's what he did. And he had the opening to do it, so he went and did it. And good for him. Because
big mistake starting on Saturday.
It's not a big mistake because you know what? All the guys at PBC, they're not signed to any particular network or whatever, so they can cross the street too. So it's just not happening.
What I'm saying is that
it's just not happening.
It's a big mistake against Thurman, man. This isn't what Manny wants. He don't want this type of work.
It was a mistake for Oscar De La Hoya to fight Floyd Mayweather.
And Bernard Hopkins.
It was a mistake for Oscar De La Hoya to fight Manny Pacquiao. It was a mistake for Oscar De La Hoya to fight Bernard Hopkins. But financially, it was brilliant because it funded his company. It funded. He generated an income to really build his company into a powerhouse for a good while.
All right, now just for kicks, because we love talking about this, and I know we have one particular guy in our Facebook group that loves when we talk about pay-per-view numbers. What do you think this fight does? It's Manny. Manny with a good opponent would always used to do $1 million or close to it, or in some situations way over, like 1.25 or 1.5.
At least 750 is what Manny used to do.
Yeah, that was like Claudia on a bad night and still do 700, So what do you think this does? Because Thurman isn't Claudia. Well, and I know Manny's older. But
I went to Claudia and Manny, and that was a bad night, and they still did it. I think they did over $1 million.
No, they did about 700,000. Because I went to the next fight against Margarito, and I think that went over $1 million.
I think a lot of it is going to depend on what Fox does with the promotion of the pay-per-view. If Fox really goes all in on it, then I think we'll get like 1.2 out of it.
Really?
Yes, I think so. Manny Pacquiao, if you see every training video at 5 a.m, Manny Pacquiao, there's hundreds of people waiting for him every single day, not in the Philippines, in LA. So he is a huge draw that has crossed over into mainstream, and if they do the proper job to promote the pay-per-view, people that's a name that everybody recognizes. It's like saying Mayweather at this point. So people are gonna buy it.
It's almost there. It's not, but all right. So let me
1.2 is my guess.
Let me speak for those of us in the Filipino community. Many, and I mean many, Filipinos stopped watching Manny when he got knocked out by Marquez, and stopped even more watching him when he lost to Floyd. So I don't think the number cracks 1 million. I do think it gets close though. I think he'll do like 850.
Are y'all serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'm the only one. Manny, even though Manny is Manny, he's not Pac-Man Pacquiao that we come to know and love, who was fighting on HBO. I'm gonna say about 400,000, man, between 350 and 500,000.
Well,
And
see,
it's no knock on Pac. Pac star is fading. It is.
Well,
what it
guess
is.
what? If he gets 400,000 or 500,000, it's all because of himself.
Well, no, and that's what I was gonna say. Look, realistically, who knows Keith Thurman, man?
Boxing
Who
heads. That's
really, exactly. And the thing is, look, I'm gonna buy it personally, man. Just because I'm not a big fan of Keith. I like Manny, man. Like, he deserves it, man. Especially in a fight like this, he doesn't have to fight Keith Thurman. He doesn't have to fight this dude, and he's fighting him.
yeah.
Hats off to him.
And he's
No,
40 years old.
He can fight a bunch of Andre Bertos in a row, and no one can say anything because
and
he's done everything already.
Go on a bum of the month club, get paid,
Yeah.
5, 6, 7 million regardless, but he's fighting a real one. And I have to commend him for that. So, but even with that, even with me just saying, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and buy the fight, man, between 400,000 and 500,000, man. And maybe that's even being modest. I was really off top just thinking about 350, just because I don't like just any kind of buzz surrounding this fight. I'll go and I'll just talk to people talking about, hey, are you gonna watch Pac? And oh wait, I don't even know when he's fighting.
Well, this is that's a problem the Fox has to fix.
I'm gonna stay at the crib, man, and watch it.
David, where are you going?
I'm staying home and watching it.
I'm throwing a fight party at the bar near my house.
No.
And I'm promoting it, and I'm inviting about 100 people.
That's cool.
Well, here's the thing, yeah.
But that still counts as one pay-per-view buy.
To us,
exactly.
I'm not helping.
Exactly.
To us, the boxing fans, the hardcore boxing fan, yeah, Manny is not the same Manny he was before. He's the 40-year-old Manny that is pretty much at the end of his rope in his career. He's still, those fighters still have one or two good fights left in them. And we're still going to see Manny Pacquiao. We're still going to watch him and buy the fight. But to the casual fan, all they recognize is the name. So I think it's going to draw them into watching the fight. And, if Fox, again, like I said, and this is contingent on Fox and PBC doing an exceptional job of promoting this fight. They have the means, they have the ways of promoting it with everything that Fox produces and as far as Fox can reach with their viewers.
I haven't seen a lot of promotion for it.
I think it has the potential of doing 1.2.
And if you were going to be promoting it, we're only a week and a half away.
And the thing is, one of Fox's problems right now is that there is no Women's World Cup on. There is no Men's Gold Cup. There's no major soccer tournaments. There's no tennis on, no golf on, no other sports in order to segue into that Manny Pacquiao.
They could have used Sunday, the Women's World Cup.
They could have used the Women's World Cup. That was a pretty good platform.
So
and
anyway,
I didn't see any commercials for it. During
I might have seen one. I usually hear stuff on like Sports Talk Radio here in New York. I haven't heard anything.
Yep.
So I don't think it's been. They haven't gone all out for this, and it's surprising because this is the first time they're going to have a Pacquiao pay-per-view.
So just to recap, I have Manny by decision. You have Joey. You have Manny Thurman by robbery, right?
Yep.
And Corling, you have Thurman by stoppage.
I'm gonna go out on a limb.
Round. You have a round.
But I said I would bet Corling straight up. I'll take Manny. Just in case he wins, I'd rather personally win something. For the podcast, I'm picking a robbery because that's fucking boxing for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you may be right. Because we've seen quite a few of them already in this last year. So real quick, though, this weekend, that's going to be on the 20th, but this weekend we have a couple of other fights that are pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing them. Is the Rob Brandt versus Ryota Murata rematch.
Yep.
Rob Brandt did a number on Murata in the last fight. And it's something that I know Bob Arum was not happy about, and they immediately called for the rematch. And it's going to be in Japan, and it's going to be aired on ESPN. I think it's Plus, ESPN Plus. I'm not quite sure on that, but I think it's not going to be any different from what the first fight was. I just don't see it changing. I'm interested to see what Murata is going to try to adjust and do. But Rob Brandt really showed that he belongs at least at that upper level in that division.
He's in the conversation.
He's put himself in the conversation.
That fight was almost a shutout.
That was a boxing class.
And Corley, you should be proud of him. Stand up, #Texas.
You know what? He's from Minnesota, but everything that we touch to gold. So it's fine. It's fine. He trains out of I believe he trains out of Dallas now. So man,
Dallas, Texas.
Big shout out to him, man. And you know what? I can't see it being any different. That was almost a masterpiece that he put on, man. He put on a clinic. So I think we're going to see more of the same. The change in venue is not going to matter. That's not going to diminish his skills at all. So
it can.
If it goes to decision, it could be closer. But the first fight was basically almost a shutout.
Yeah.
And you know what? He has a TKO win in between.
Right.
Murata has not fought since.
Right.
And not only that, but listen, it can create an issue for a fighter if they're in a different time zone. This is straight out into Japan. Different diet can also affect a fighter gastrointestinally, and they may show up,
You know how you
diminished.
cure all that, right? You fucking fly out there the day of the fight and don't eat anything.
Idiot, man.
Yeah, but you're going to be having the fight at like 4 a.m, so
get some Z's on that plane. You fly first class, man. You sleep good.
The other fight that I wanted to mention was the Joe Joyce versus
Brian Jennings.
I think that's going to be also a good fight, and the reason I think it's going to be a good fight is because Joe Joyce is going to have to prove that he is what they're trying to make him out to be.
He's only 9-0. I mean, but it's all knockout.
But it's a huge step out for Joe Joyce to fight Brian Jennings, who's been who is a professional. He's a guy that's been around for quite a while and has had some successes and some failures, but he's a very good fighter. And this is going to really test Joe Joyce. I don't think he's going to make it through. I think that Jennings might actually be able to pull the upset and knock off the prospect.
Joe Joyce, I don't know what to think about him. The one thing that Joe Joyce has on the side is that he's huge. He's a big man. He's really big. And I remember him, it could have been his last fight or the fight before that. To celebrate his stoppage, this dude damn near did a backflip in the ring.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, man, this guy, he's athletic. He's kind of like
I think he practices capoeira or
capoeira. He's kind of like a big cat in there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a lot of flaws there, man. It's a lot of stuff there to where I can see somebody on the page was like, man, he sucks. And
I saw that.
What? He kind of does, but he kind of doesn't. I don't know what to think about him.
Brian Jennings isn't fucking, he's not a world beater either.
And Brian Jennings,
he got stopped in his last fight against Oscar Rivas too.
Right, and he's,
But Oscar Rivas is a monster puncher. I mean, this is not Joe Joyce.
Dillian White got his work cut out for him.
Yeah,
with Oscar Rivas.
Man. I think a lot of people are going to be happy when Dylan White loses.
But look, this is a great week of boxing this Friday and Saturday. Aside from those fights, we have Shakur Stevenson. He is main eventing his first card.
He's headlining his first.
He's headlining his first card in New Jersey.
At home. That's cool.
Kudos to Top Rank for putting this kid up there. He's really. We've seen several fights of him live at the venues, and to see this kid grow into such a talent, it's just fantastic. And
I remember meeting him, and I told him, I've basically seen half his fights live. I said, you are literally growing up in front of my eyes, and it's a pleasure to watch.
Yes,
he's a nice kid. He really is.
And then we also have Daniel Dubois versus Nathan Gorman. That's a pretty even fight, and Daniel Dubois is going to have to show, also like Joe Joyce, that he belongs up there, because these are guys that have a lot of technical deficiencies,
Right.
and they're going up against guys that have more experience and are a little bit better technically, and they're going to have to grow up in the ring also. Aside from that, we have the Amir Khan fight. I'm not even going to mention right now.
Pearl belt.
I don't,
Don't bother.
But Ray Vargas and Tomoki Kamita are going to be on the zone. I know it's not a card that you're going to really want to see, Corleen, but it's your favorite. It's your favorite. Promoter putting it up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But there are just a ton of fights that are going on this weekend. Before next week, the week on top.
Right. Even Tiafimo's back in action.
That's exactly right.
And also the same night as Pacquiao and Thurman, you got Ugas, you got the Dylan White Rivas fight we mentioned. Yep. The week after that, you got Jose Ramirez and Maurice Hooker, which should be a fantastic fight.
Yes, sir.
And then I actually like this kid. August 3rd, Marcus Brown is back.
You know what? Marcus Brown's the dude who bumped heads with Badu Jack, right? Split his stuff wide open. That was a nasty cut. Oh, that was a nasty cut.
How do you stop some fights and you didn't stop that? I don't get it.
And aside from that, Fox has the stellar August 3rd fight too. This card is just, in the Marcus Brown card. There's also Adam Kaunacki versus Chris Areola. And Andre Berto versus Miguel Cruz. What are these guys still doing fighting?
Curtis Stevens is on that card too.
Curtis Stevens is on the card. It's just this parade of guys that should have retired a couple of years ago, and they're still they're still earning a paycheck.
I might go to that. I'm actually interested in the Kaunacki fight. I want to see how Kaunacki looks. I know it's at the Barclays in Brooklyn.
Yes,
and I don't have plans. So.
And then on the 10th of August, I think probably one of the best prospects that doesn't get as much mention as maybe Shakur Stevenson or Teofimo Lopez is Virgil Ortiz is going up against Antonio Orozco. Antonio Orozco, the kid has talent, man.
Dude can fight, man.
Yep.
Wow,
he can fight, man.
He is something special, and we're gonna see, if they can move him right and they can bring him up. I think he's pretty much on a fast track already. To be able to fight Orozco so quickly, they've decided they're gonna fast track him. So it's the next few months are gonna be very, very, very good for boxing fans, and I can't wait to see these fights. Hopefully by the end of the year, maybe if we get a special fight, like maybe Spence versus Pacquiao or Thurman, then I may go ahead and spring for it and go see it live, depending on where it is. So
yeah. But I'll most likely go to that Kaunacki Areola Marcus Brown card.
That's a good card. You know what I'm laughing at? I'm thinking about Curtis Stevens talking all that mess to Triple G, and then when G knocked him down, man, that dude's face on the canvas, hilarious, boy.
His face is like, what's that ref with the eyes?
Him and his crew had those coffins and all the stuff on social media that they were presenting, and we're gonna,
Yep.
It kind of reminds me of what Keith is saying right now.
Different set of skills though.
I don't think Manny could make Keith's face look like that though.
Well,
he could rearrange it a little.
I think he could, but anyway, I think that it's going to be a great 2 weeks of fighting. We're going to enjoy immensely, and then we'll be back here to talk about what happened in those fights for a recap later on. So, I think we're going to
maybe put in some picks for Ramirez Hooker.
That's gonna be man, I can't wait.
God. That fight, that's another fight. That's just man. Yeah. That to me is a stellar fight. That's a stellar fight.
2 words for y'all.
Mo Hooker.
Texas Renaissance, man. #Texas renaissance. You'll see.
I'm a huge fan of Mo Hooker. I mean, this guy has great, very, very, very good boxing skills, and he can survive, and he has very, very tricky power. He has very sneaky power, very sneaky shots that he catches these guys with when they walks them into them, and it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a great fight. I think Ramirez is going to have to stop him early if he's going to stop him.
Yep.
Yeah.
But other than that, let's end today's show.
That's all for us. But wait, Corling, are we betting?
Oh, hey, let's do it. We can do it straight up.
What do you want to bet?
Let's go. We can do 50. I'll put 50 on Keith.
Well, Corling owes me a couple of drinks.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
So I'm gonna double up on those drinks and say Manny Pacquiao by decision, and maybe we can even out.
50 on Keith, and then Keith wins. That'll cancel the drinks out.
All right, sounds good.
All right, $50 on Manny.
Yes, sir.
Adios, everybody.
So long.
Y'all take it easy.